So during this Civil War, the English Civil War, both sides pretty well used the same equipment, and often their uniforms were the same colours. For the benefit of my tabletop, I tend to paint the Parliamentarians in a more tan colour and the royalists in the more flamboyant reds, although later on the new model army would take red as their colour, but that's just from my personal point of view. So in this tutorial I'll be showing the two different methods for the two different colorations. So for my royalists I've used Crimson Red from System 3. It is a craft paint, it's not a miniature painting paint brand, it's literally just off the shelf from the warehouse. It does the job pretty well actually. I am planning on doing a video at some point in the future comparing craft paints to proper branded paints, and we'll do some demonstrations and some comparisons and see what the difference really is, but that's for another day. So Crimson Free, it actually works pretty well. I've found generally all you need to do is just make sure you keep it wet. Either add flow improver or just a little bit of water, and then that allows the paint to not dry out and it goes pretty nicely. And now the silver is what I'm using, silver from Game Colour, for all of the metal work. So that's going to be the scabbards, the swords, the barrels of any of their muskets, the steel work on the horses' kit, their cuirasses, their helmets, anything that's metal, I just use silver. As I've mentioned before, the silver is quite bright at this stage, and that's fine because later on we will put a nice dark brown wash over the top, and then that'll dull it right back down and make it sort of battlefield ready. So I don't know about how your guys' armies are coming along, but I've found painting these troops actually being pretty fun. It's being an area that historically I've not really done much in. I know in one of my previous videos I lamented the fact that they didn't teach more about the English Civil War whilst I was at school, but on the upside, that's where I'd like to take my hat off to Warlord Games. By using the opportunity to create this whole range, it's hopefully inspired a lot of people to get into it and do some more researching, buy some books, watch documentaries, and gain a better understanding of the period. I know one of the chaps in the comments previously said he's from Germany, and same sort of thing, they have very little, if any, schooling regarding the 30 Years' War in that period. So it's not just the UK, it seems to be an issue continent-wide, European-wide, probably Western world-wide, of not actually teaching our history properly. But I guess that gives us the opportunity through wargaming, through videos, to actually expand that knowledge and teach people, basically. The amount of sit-down chats I've had at work, actually talking about history with the guys who are still at school, because most of my staff are 18 to 20, and they've got no knowledge about history. It's crazy. You think, what on earth are they teaching you? Anyway, moan aside. So now for the tan here. And so for the Parliamentarians tan or buff uniforms, I just use khaki, which is from Model Colour. And now we repeat the previous step of doing the silver over all of the metalwork, just for our Parliamentarian cavalry. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Let me know in the comments below, are you more interested in the smaller scale, or do you prefer larger 28mm? I'm not talking about from painting tutorial perspectives, just on your tabletop. Do you rather have larger miniatures but fewer of them, or do you prefer to have smaller miniatures and more of them? I would say for myself, I prefer to have more smaller miniatures just because it gives you that sort of grand view, but equally the downside to the smaller ones is the quality of each individual soldier isn't as great, and so yeah, I like to paint a few larger ones here and there, but for my main overall army I'd go small. So let me know in the comments below if there's any English Civil War or even 30 Years War regiments that you would like me to paint up. I'm more than happy to do a bit of research and paint specific regiments. Just let me know. So I've used leather brown here from Game Colour to do the muskets and any wooden parts that you see on the figures. And then for the sort of saddle fabric, we've used magic blue from Game Colour. Next up we do their skin tone, and we're using flat flesh from Tamiya Colour. Point to note with Tamiya Colour's flat flesh, do ensure that you keep it moist, otherwise it will very quickly gain a film over the top where the top layer dries, and then it's a pain in the neck to work with, so just make sure you keep it moist. Now when I'm painting, I tend to find I use two brushes. I use a detail brush and a larger, I have to find out what the names are, but I just use a detail brush for pretty well everything, other than the big sort of large areas where I start off using a larger brush. Especially on these miniatures, you don't need to worry too much. So now we apply our dark wash over the miniatures, which dulls them down very nicely, and then we're going to go back and use all of the original base colours as your highlights, and then we have our miniatures ready for the tabletop. Now I'm pretty happy with the way these came out, especially these royalists. I think that the red and the silver really works well together and looks pretty smart, so yeah, very happy. And Parliamentarians, again, no issues there whatsoever. So yeah, again, great job from Warlord Games. Miniatures have come out nicely, very easy to paint, so I enjoyed it a lot. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.